the things that are a bit trickier in terms of these then. Have a look at number 1 and number 2 here. Pause the video for 1 minute and write down anything that you think makes these patterns trickier or might distract you from the real sequence. Right, so hopefully you've now unpaused. Looking at this, number 1, I can totally see a size difference here immediately. So that would be something that I'd first look at, because I can see a small shape, large, small, but then I've got these 3 medium-sized shapes afterwards. If you think about it, small to large to small to medium to medium to medium isn't actually a useful sequence for us here. There's no pattern. If there's no pattern, that's not something that's going to help you solve the question. So you can just ignore the size of the shapes and completely just give up on that. So where could we see some differences and similarities in the shapes? Well, I can see that actually the type of shape changes. So I've got a semicircle, a pentagon, a rectangle, then another semicircle, a pentagon, a rectangle. This must mean then that I've got a semicircle as my final shape here, because we keep repeating that 3-part pattern, meaning I can get rid of A, B, and D really easily. What else is changing? Well, the shading is the colour of these shapes is. So I can see I've got a white, a black, and then half and half, white and black, white, black, half and half. So it must mean then that the next shape has to be white, and actually all of the semicircles have been white so far, meaning that E must be the correct answer. For number 2, you might start thinking, oh, this is definitely a rotation where every part of the shape is rotating. That's not actually true here. Some parts of the shape rotate, but other parts do not. They've got a different pattern with their position happening. So you've got to be really careful not to assume that every single section of a pattern follows exactly the same sequence and rule. So here, there's quite a lot going on, so I'm going to start drawing this out. Something I can see immediately is we've got a black quarter of the circle here, and the circle is generally split into quarters, so I'm going to draw that in. So I can see here that I've got the black part of the circle is in the bottom left, then it moves to the bottom right, and then it moves to the bottom left again. So we've got a left, right, left sequence, which means that the black shaded in part must be on the right hand side this time. So I might quickly scribble to shade that in, and I can then get rid of B because this black quarter is in the wrong section. I can also see here the triangle. Now the triangle does always seem to stay opposite the black segment here, so I can draw that in, and that does work because we've got a right, left, right sequence. So again, my white triangle has to be on the top left, meaning I can get rid of A, but C and D are correct. Now at this point, I'm going to have a look at the little black circle here, which is rotating because it starts in the bottom right, moves around to the top right, and then to the top left. If you think of this as being a rotation, and again, you can draw this out if you need to help you, and pop a little arrow here, I can see that this is an anti-clockwise rotation that's happening. So that means if I'm going anti-clockwise, the circle must next end up in 1, 2, 3, 4, the bottom left here, which is this segment of my circle. Looking at C and D, D is the only one of those shapes that actually follows this rule, so that must be the correct answer. Alright, that's all of my examples for now. Hopefully you found that really helpful. Remember, break your shapes up so you're only looking at one part of the pattern at the same time, And if you keep that in mind and really pay attention to exactly what is and is not part of a pattern, you're going to be successful in these questions. All right, so we'll be back soon with some further videos. We'll be looking at English and maths next, so keep an eye out for those, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye!